She used me as a joke in high school, made sure everyone laughed at me. 10 years later, she wanted a second chance, but I wasn't that boy anymore. I let her in, just enough to show her what she lost. And when she begged for answers, I gave her silence. Hi guys, we are just getting started, so consider subscribing and helping the channel reach its first 1,000 subscribers. Thanks a lot. Now let's start with the story. In high school, I wasn't the kind of boy girls noticed, especially not girls like her. I was skinny, quiet, not shy, just invisible. I listened more than I spoke, observed everything. That made people uncomfortable. They called me weird, off, said I was always thinking too hard. But I wasn't thinking. I was just feeling everything too loud. And she was light, movement, noise. She was the type of girl who could enter a room and change the temperature. Everyone noticed her, wanted her. I just watched her from a distance. Until one day, she came to me, asked for help in physics, sat next to me at lunch. She touched my arm when she laughed. I thought, this can't be real. But then it kept happening. She texted me, called me by name in the hallway, asked what music I liked. I didn't know what game she was playing, but I let myself believe it wasn't one. Then the pep rally. She stood on the gym floor, smiling, surrounded by people, holding a mic. You guys actually thought I was dating him? Laughter. It was just a joke. They looked at me. I looked down. I was holding her sweater. She told me she was cold. She let me carry it. And now I knew why. I didn't go to school for a week after that. When I came back, no one said anything. But they smirked, whispered, looked at me like I was pitiful. She never apologized. She never even looked guilty. Just moved on. And I learned something. Love isn't safe. Vulnerability is weakness. If they can laugh at you, they will. So I stopped giving them a chance. Those were the hollow days. After the pep rally, my world didn't crash. It just went silent. I stopped speaking in class, stopped raising my hand, stopped eating lunch in the cafeteria. No one teased me out loud. They didn't have to. Their looks were enough. Like I was something they all touched once and now couldn't wash off. Teachers asked if something was wrong. I lied. My parents asked why I was distant. I shrugged. I wasn't angry, just empty, like something inside me shut down and no one noticed. Nights were the worst. I'd lie in bed and replay it all. The way she smiled at me in the hallway, the way she leaned into me during lab, the way her friends cackled like hyenas when she said my name. I wondered if she ever thought about it, if she ever thought about me. But deep down, I knew the truth. To her, it was just a moment. To me, it was a lesson. I wasn't meant to be chosen. College was escape, not freedom. When I left for college, I thought I'd feel free. I didn't. I carried her laugh with me like a scar. Not just hers, but everyone's. The whole damn auditorium. The echoes of it was a joke. So I studied. Obsessed. While other kids were partying, I was reading. While they hooked up and got messy, I built routines. Discipline. Walls. I didn't date. Didn't trust. Girls flirted. I smiled but kept my hands in my pockets. I wasn't going to be someone's experiment again. And somewhere in that quiet, something shifted. I started to feel dangerous. Not in a reckless way. In a focused way. I realized I don't need to be liked. I need to be untouchable. So I trained my body. Every morning. No excuses. I studied business, leadership, psychology. I watched how powerful men moved, how they spoke, and how they never explained themselves. I started a project in junior year. A small app. Then a partnership. Then an investor. By the time I graduated, I wasn't looking for a job. I was building my own name. I turned pain into motivation, motivation into grind, and grind into power. Let me be clear. She didn't make me. Her cruelty didn't inspire me. It didn't light some beautiful fire. It burned me, and I had to crawl out of my own ashes. But that pain, it became leverage. I stopped waiting to be accepted. I created spaces where people came to me. I stopped trying to be the good guy. I became the man in control. She was a bruise. The world became my gym. By 27, I owned 2 properties. By 28, I was leading a team of 30. I spoke on panels. People listened when I enter a room, not because I was loud, but because I knew who I was, and I didn't need anyone to validate it. And that, more than money, more than muscle, was the revenge I never had to say out loud. The man I became. I don't smile often, not unless there's a reason. People mistake that for arrogance or coldness. But the truth is, I just stopped pretending. I don't fake small talk. Don't flatter to impress. If I say something, it's because I mean it. And in today's world, that makes you dangerous. I wake up at 5. I run 5 kilometers. Breakfast is simple. Eggs and black coffee. No sugar. No shortcuts. My apartment is clean. Minimal. No clutter. My calendar is color-coded down to the hour. No missed meetings. No second chances. I know what I want, and I get it. Whether it's business, real estate, or negotiations, people listen when I speak. But here's what they don't see. The silence when I come home. The dinners alone. The way I check my phone and scroll through names. Not to call anyone, just to feel like I could. I've dated, of course, but it never lasts. They say I'm too reserved, too in control. One girl even said, "You're so put together, it's like there's nothing left for me to do." She meant it as a complaint. But for me, that was the point. Because I'd rather be alone in my own world than bleed again in someone else's joke. When I saw her again, it was early fall. Street still warm, air a little sharp. I was walking out my building, phone in one hand, coffee in the other, when I heard her voice. Soft, hesitant, my name. I turned. There she was. 10 years hadn't changed her much, still striking, still confident. But there was something behind the eyes now. A flicker of uncertainty. Like she didn't expect to feel small in front of me. I didn't flinch. I didn't smile. Just said, "Hey." We made small talk. She asked how I'd been. I told her briefly. Carefully. She laughed too loudly at one of my comments, the way people do when they're trying to fill silence with nostalgia. Then she apologized. Said she was young. Said it wasn't right. Said she didn't mean to hurt me. I nodded. We were kids, I said, not because I forgave her, but because I no longer needed revenge. The dance she started. After that first encounter, she started reaching out. Harmless texts at first, "Saw this and thought of you." Or, "Remember when we used to sit in physics together?" I didn't respond right away. Sometimes not at all. But she was persistent. One night, she invited me out for a drink. I said yes. Not because I missed her, but because I wanted to see if she still had that same hold over me. She didn't. She dressed like she was still trying to impress the world and walked like she expected the room to part in front of her. But now I wasn't part of the crowd watching. I was the man at the top of the stairs, the one she had to climb to reach. The conversation was light, full of shared memories and carefully placed compliments. She kept trying to steer us toward nostalgia, but I kept my answers clipped. Precise. She laughed too hard at my jokes, leaned in too close, and touched my arm too often. I knew the script. I just didn't feel like playing the same role anymore. Still, I didn't stop her. Part of me wanted to see how far she'd go. We began seeing each other more. Dinners, drinks, even a few nights together. She was warm, open, and a little too eager. It wasn't lost on me that this was the same girl who once laughed at my feelings like they were a bad punchline. But now she wanted something. Maybe redemption. Maybe control. Maybe just a new story to tell. I gave her just enough to keep her chasing. Never enough to satisfy. She started to ask questions. Where this was going, what I wanted, why I never talked about the past. I'd smile, kiss her neck, and change the subject. She wanted access to my heart. I gave her access to my schedule. And that was enough for a while. She showed up uninvited. I wasn't surprised. I'd given her a key a few weeks back, more out of convenience than commitment. I should have known better. That night, I wasn't alone. I was in the kitchen, pouring wine for someone else. A woman who didn't know anything about my past, who laughed quietly, and who didn't need to be the center of the universe. When I saw her, the girl from my past, standing in the hallway with her arms crossed, I didn't flinch. She looked furious, betrayed, like I had cheated on some silent agreement she had written in her head. The woman I was with excused herself quickly, awkwardly. I didn't stop her. I didn't explain. And once we were alone, the storm hit. She shouted, demanding answers. Asked if I had ever cared. Called me a user. Cold. Heartless. I let her speak. Let her release whatever righteous fury she had been storing for years. And when she finally paused, eyes wet with rage and ego, I said, "What exactly are you upset about?" She blinked. "What do you mean? I thought we were..." "Were what?" I interrupted her. My tone wasn't angry. It was controlled. Exclusive. I asked. Committed? You never said you wanted that. You knew what I wanted. She screamed. You knew. I shook my head. Smiled, not kindly. You think wanting something entitles you to it. She stepped closer. Her voice dropped. I trusted you. I looked her dead in the eyes and asked, Did you? I certainly don't trust you. Why would you say that? She whispered. Because the girl I knew taught me that love is a setup. That kindness is weakness. That the moment you let someone in, they'll laugh in your face in front of a crowd. You didn't just hurt me. You left a wound so deep I never fully trusted any woman after you. So no, I didn't trust you. If you're asking how I could do this, maybe ask yourself what kind of man you built. You want to know why I didn't stop you that day in high school? Why didn't I fight back? Because I was stunned that someone I trusted could turn my world into a joke in front of hundreds of people and smile while doing it. She blinked, unsure whether I was still that boy or someone else entirely. That wasn't just embarrassment. That was a fracture. You didn't just humiliate me. You made me believe I wasn't worth protecting. She tried to interrupt, to explain, to justify. But I kept going. You think I'm cruel now? This version of me exists because of that boy you broke. The one who sat alone in silence while everyone laughed. You didn't make me successful, but you sure as hell showed me I couldn't count on anyone else to build me back up. So I did it myself. You don't get to be offended that you don't recognize me now. You weren't there for the becoming. You don't get to show up late and demand the full version of me. Not after you mocked the draft. She stared at me like I had slapped her, but I hadn't raised my voice once. I didn't need to. The silence between my words carried more weight than any scream ever could. Peace doesn't look like her. I saw her one more time, a week later. She waited outside my building, standing there in a long coat like the cold had finally seeped into her bones. Her eyes looked tired, not from lack of sleep, but from losing control. She didn't speak right away, just looked at me like she expected me to crumble, to say I missed her, that she still meant something. I didn't, and she didn't. I asked if she was okay. She scoffed, of course, tried to laugh it off, said something bitter about men always running when it gets serious. I let her speak. Then I said, I'm not running. I'm walking, calmly, away from something I already outgrew. She asked if I ever loved her. I said once, maybe, but I stopped trying to figure that out the moment you made it clear I wasn't worth your kindness. She didn't cry. I think she wanted to. I think she thought tears might make me soften, maybe pull her in for one last kiss. But I was already gone, standing right in front of her, but already somewhere quieter, somewhere better. She stood there as I turned and walked inside. I didn't look back, not because I was angry, but because I was done. Peace, I've learned, doesn't look like forgiveness. It doesn't come with fireworks or closure speeches. Sometimes peace is just no longer needing to explain yourself to people who never listened in the first place. And she was loud, beautiful, dramatic, addicted to noise. But me, I had learned to live in silence. And silence finally felt like home.